Welcome to the newly revised 90-Day Felon Podcast. I'm Tia Torres, and I am your host. Hostess? Creator? You pick it. For the record, I have already published 2 prototype podcasts of the same name, but now I've given it a whole new look and format. So that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. You know, I'm hoping that these podcasts reach many families and their loved ones, aka their inmates, who truly have like a desire to want to succeed after being released from prison. Now let me be clear, okay? I do tend to ride the fence when it comes to the prison system and the criminal element. As the ex-wife of 4 convicts, I know all too well about how a felon thinks. So, on my 25 to White podcast that I do with ex-husband number 3, Tony, there are times that he will whine and complain about how bad prison food is, or they won't give me another pillow. And I'm like, well, buckaroo, you put yourself there. Don't want to hear your big boy tears. So, that also being said, the prison reform and rehabilitation system, for lack of a better word, needs a complete overhaul if they ever expect these criminals, yes, I said criminals, to get out and become productive members of society. So my thinking lies somewhere in the middle. But the focus of this podcast is to use my 40 years of experience around the prison system and my, air quotes, degree as a professional prison wife to guide any newly released inmates and provide them with a step-by-step template that will hopefully give them success out here in the free world. You're probably asking, like, what's up with the 90 days? Except for the fact that I am a 90-day fiance junkie. It was also just a number that I felt comfortable with as setting for a goal. Sometimes when you have someone that comes out from being incarcerated for any length of time, and they are expected to do certain things within that time frame. And, you have some of these inmates that are institutionalized, so it's difficult. So to expect them to make all these changes in, let's say, 30 days or less, because you do get parole officers that will say, hey, you got week or 2 weeks to find a job. The clock is ticking. And it's just a very difficult expectation to, hang over these people's heads. It's just, in my opinion, too short of a time frame, to see any difference. Again, this is only my opinion. Now, at the same time, setting the threshold too high could also possibly be setting someone up for failure. If you say to somebody, okay, I'm going to give you a year to get everything situated, do all the things you're supposed to do. Well, what happens when you give somebody too much? You start to procrastinate. You think, well, I got a year. So for the first 6 months, I'm just going to, take it easy. I need to decompress. I need to get back into living out in the free world. This can backfire. So for me, the 90 days was just a perfect amount of not too little and not too much, to where it would be at least a good jumping off point to get newly released inmates enough time to get their ducks in a row and begin the next step. So for this podcast, it's all about assigning homework. I'm going to assign like prison homework. This can actually be started while you're still incarcerated. Now, I know it might be a little bit more difficult for those that do not have a family support system on the outside. So you're on your own. I get that. But I'm going to at least put it out there just to give you something to work with, detail by detail. This is what I found to be the biggest hurdles when it comes to someone being fresh out of prison. It's just, again, from my experience, seeing that the guys, and I do mostly work with guys, what they go through when they get out of prison and the struggles they're having. Number one problem, money. Okay? So that's that kind of goes without saying. Number two, a place to live. A roof over your head. Number three, some kind of support system. Okay? You need somebody. You need somebody to kind of help you along the way. And number four of my list is a good sense of resources. And now I'm going to get into specifics in a minute, but those are the four things. Money, a place to live, a good support system, and resources, okay? Now, the process for all of this can start in prison, hopefully. If at all possible, some prisons will help you get all your ID and all your necessary important paperwork together. I see a lot of guys coming out with they don't have a birth certificate, they don't have a social security card, they don't have a current ID. I mean, yeah, you can get that stuff out here, but you're going to need access to the internet, and trust me, I'm pretty tech savvy, and going onto some of these websites myself is so frustrating. So imagine somebody coming out of prison trying it. So if you can start the process in prison, that would be great. Reaching out to your case manager, a counselor. If you do have somebody on the outside that can help you, I highly recommend you get those three things done before you even get released. A current state ID, birth certificate, and social security card. I'm telling you, it's going to make your life that much easier when you do get released. Number two on my list of things that I would love to see happen while you're in prison, and I don't know why prisons don't have these type of classes available, but learning proper etiquette and proper speaking. When you come out into the free world and you're trying to get a job, I'll give you an example, because I just went through this with a guy that just got out. He had zero etiquette, zero speaking skills. He was like working with a feral animal. So when he was walking into a place and looking for a job, instead of saying, "Hey, good morning, my name is Robert, looking into the job you have, I'd like to talk to you about it, I'd like to apply for it," he was walking in and saying, "Yeah, I want to get that job. What's up with that job?" I'm like, oh my God, you can't do that. So, if at all possible, while you're in prison, start to practice it. I know y'all, those of you in prison, you have access to books. You get your family to buy you books. For those that have loved ones that they talk to on the phone, start practicing now. In your mind even, just like, okay, when I walk in to McDonald's, what is the first thing I'm going to do? What am I going to look like? How am I going to dress? Make sure you have a pen on hand to fill out the application. After going through what I just went through with this one guy that just got out, and again, I will tell his story in another episode. Wow, it was rough. Like, very rough. He just would not break. He would not budge. He was going to be how he was going to be. Everybody was giving him dirty looks in his mind. And, it was bad. He got thrown out of a couple of places because of the way he acted. Another thing you can do while you're in prison, is try to have a list of companies or places that will hire felons or ex-felons when you get out. Don't wait till you get out and go scrambling to look. You could have people go, your loved ones go online for you. Again, talk to your case managers. Talk to your fellow inmates. And maybe they can help you navigate that by maybe networking through their loved ones that call, that they're able to call in the prison. So have a plan laid out before you leave those gates. So the other things that I want to touch on really quick are the 4 things I talked about earlier, which is going to be, once you get out, a money source, a place to live, a good support system, and a good sense of resources. And I want to help you find the ways to get all 4 of those once you get out. I think I was gonna talk about it in this podcast, but I think I'm gonna wait to the next episode because I really want to get into detail. So I've given you 2 different lists. I've given you the 4 items that you're going to need to address the minute you get out, and then I've given you 3 things to do while you're still in prison. Okay? Again, I have dealt with so many guys coming out of prison. Some succeeded, some crashed and burned. So I've learned along the way too. And again, I will tell you some more of these stories in future episodes. So, I'm hoping again this reaches families who have a loved one incarcerated. For those that do, you know the drill. When you get your phone call, you can put my podcast up to the phone and let them hear it. This is why I'm keeping these episodes under the 15-minute mark, because that's the average phone call from prison. Trying to accommodate here. But you know what? I just really want to thank you guys for joining me. And remember, if you are not part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. But you know what? 90 days can make that difference.